Welcome back to Underage Packers. This is Joey. Today I have a very exciting, very big event type video on hand as I am presenting you my first Packers 53-man roster prediction. They cut down to 80 tomorrow on Tuesday, and then on August 31st, so next Tuesday, they have to make the final cut down to 53 players and then a 16-man practice squad. So I went ahead, got this 53-man roster on hand thanks to Spot Rec. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Don't know which word comes first or whatnot in that, but that does not matter. But I'm going to be giving you guys my whole 53-man roster, some notable cuts on there, and then a few players on the practice squad. I'm not going to go through every single player. I'm not going to tell you that Aaron Rodgers or Jair Alexander is on the roster, but just basically go position by position and give you some highlights on my first prediction and probably my last. I don't got time to be doing 5 roster predictions like it's a mock draft here. But let's start off with the so talked about wide receiver position. So we have the 5 locked in: Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers, Allen Lazard, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And then I am adding Malik Taylor, the special teams returner, gunner type player. Had a nice game against New York this past Saturday. And Devin Funchess for at least the first 2 weeks while Jay Sternberger is suspended. So I really like what I saw from Devin. He did better than I thought in in his first preseason game. We'll see what he does against Buffalo, and if the Packers think highly of him. Moving on to the tight end position, I am keeping 5. I am keeping Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, Josiah DeGuara, and Dominique Daphne, and then Jay Sternberger is suspended for those first 2 weeks. Dominique Daphne is an interesting one, and we'll see. Maybe the Packers will end up choosing Dom over Jace, and they'll end up keeping Dom on the roster, releasing Jace, or maybe they'll find a spot for both of them. Dom, he certainly has an uphill battle. He wasn't playing in this preseason game. I still think he is the perfect candidate for Matt LaFleur's H-back, fullback. And even with Josiah DeGuara healthy, I think he has a place in this offense. So for at least those first 2 weeks, that pretty much goes for any of these fringe roster players. For the first 2 weeks when Jay Sternberger is suspended, not on the roster, not taking up roster space, they are still on the bubble. Moving on to the offensive line, we have 2 offensive tackles. To start off, we have Royce Newman and Benjamin Braden. I think Braden is offensive guard, but they have him listed as a tackle, but that's besides the point. Braden, he's got a lot of opportunities in camp, and even if he's not starting on the day 1 offensive line at right guard, Packers obviously like him. He got a lot of opportunities this past week against the Jets and did a pretty solid job, in my opinion. Let's see here. Scroll down a little bit. I organized it by position. Let's see if I can find the rest of the offensive linemen. Here we go. We got some guards. We got Billy Turner, Elton Jenkins, and John Runyon. So all 3 of those guys, Elton and Billy, might be Billy, questionable starter. If Dennis Kelly goes out there, or maybe they have another rookie they really like. But Elton Jenkins obviously secured on that line. John Runyon, Ben Braden, they might have to battle it out. It might be one or the other, but I do think they'll end up keeping both of them. Rounding off the offensive line is David Bakhtiari. I don't think he will go on injured reserve, but that's really just where he is on his timeline. Then you have Josh Myers, or the only center I'm keeping on this roster, and Dennis Kelly as well. So they have plenty of offensive linemen to use. A lot of interchanging pieces at offensive guard, and I really don't know. I don't think it's going to be a solid, set-in-stone lineup every single week at the offensive line for when David Bakhtiari is out, especially at those 2 guards positions. So that will be certainly something to watch as the season kicks off in 3 weeks from now, I want to say. So we are getting there, folks. At running back, no surprises, really. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and then Kylan Hill, the rookie 7th rounder from Mississippi State. And that rounds us up on offense besides quarterback. I did not end up having enough spaces to keep the legendary Kurt Benkert, unfortunately. Moving on to the defense side of the ball, inside linebacker, I did end up keeping Warren Burks and Ty Summers, and then Kamal Martin, Devondre Campbell, and Chris Barnes. Kamal Martin might be a fringe roster guy. He might not make this team, especially with how low he's been on all of their practice teams. I mean, you've had Oren Burks and even sometimes Ty Summers going out in front of him. They've tried to put him at outside linebacker. So who knows what the Packers think of Kamal Martin at this point. Oren Burks and Ty Summers, I know, might be questionable decisions, but literally only and solely because, which to the same exact words, solely because of their special teams ability, I do think they'll make this roster. At cornerback, we have Jair Alexander, the All-Pro, Eric Stokes, the first-round pick from Georgia, Chandon Sullivan, the slot specialist, Kevin Keene, Isaac Yadam, Kadar Holman, Shamar Jean-Charles, and Kavion Into. Kavion Into is really the only one of note there that really is anything from different. Kadar Holman might only make it to the practice squad. We've heard certainly a lot more about Kavion Into, Shamar Jean in these past few weeks at camp. Kadar, 6th-round draft pick from Toledo from the 2019 draft. So I don't know if he makes this roster. Isaac Yadam, in my opinion, has a better chance than him, but I somehow found a way to keep him, so why not have him on here? He does also play special teams, and I am just so tired of this roster construction period and talking about special teams. The most boring thing in all of football. I am with Corey Banke on that one right there. For pass rushers and defensive line, there really isn't anybody of note besides Tyler Lancaster and Jonathan Garvin, both making the roster for me. Jonathan Garvin, I really like him, 7th-round draft pick from Miami, the 2020 draft. I really liked, he really has more experience than Tippa. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. It looks like Galileo, but somehow there's an N in front of it. I don't know. But Tippa and any other of the outside linebackers, Jonathan Garvin stepped in a few times when Rashawn Gary had an injury near the start of last year. So he has that experience. He's looked pretty decent in these preseason games and at practices when the Packers are running 3. When Zadarius Smith was out at practices when they were running 3 outside linebackers, they had Gary, Preston Smith, and then Jonathan Garvin. All right, time for some notable cuts. And I'm looking at these now, and I'm just like, how many Dr. Peppers did I have last night? These are definitely some questionable ones here that I'm sure I'll get heat for in the comments for just trying to be bold and original with my prediction here. But we have Lucas Patrick, Cole Van Lannon, Juwann Winfrey, Isaiah McDuffie. Isaiah McDuffie, I have a rookie report video coming out tomorrow where I'll talk about him. I thought he might have a chance with special teams, but he really hasn't gotten too many opportunities on there. So Ty Summers and Oren Burks pretty much take up his role, and he barely got any playing time at inside linebackers in these past 2 games. So I just don't think he offers too much. Keep him on the practice squad. Juwann Winfrey, another practice squad guy. I really like him. He has this injury right now, though, so I don't think he's going to have enough to show to make that roster over Malik Taylor or Devin Funchess. And the most notable of all is former Packers starting guard of last year, Lucas Patrick. He's been with the team for a few years now, but the Packers have been trying to get a lot of guards in this room, trying to replace them pretty quick. I think with Royce Newman's great performance yesterday, I do think Lucas has a really big contract. I do think they're going to try to get out of that and find a replacement for him and probably an improvement. On the practice squad, we have the 2 rookies, Cole Van Lannon and Isaiah McDuffie. We have Chauncey Rivers, the outside linebacker, who has apparently looked really good at camp. Then we have tight end / fullback, H-back, whatever you want to call it, Bronson Kafusi. And then we have 2 dime backers, Henry Black and Enos Gaines. I do have Vernon Scott making the roster, who those 3 players all have a similar role. And I have Vernon Scott getting the roster spot out of those 3. Well, I think that's all we have for today for my 53-man roster prediction. It will be interesting to see which route the Packers go tomorrow, cutting down to 80. I'm really not a fan of how they have these roster cut-ups set up, because cutting 5 players really is not that big of a move. So you go you cut 10 in 2 weeks, and then like 2 weeks later you have to cut 27 more. That's just pretty stupid to me. I like the 90, 75, 53. That's just my preference. But let me know what you guys think of my prediction down in the comments below. I'm sure everybody will be massive, big fans and completely agree with everything on it. But make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that like button down below. We appreciate it a lot. Follow us on all the social medias. And we'll see you later. As always, go Pack Go.